Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. And just like that, episode 3 of And Just Like That has aired. So, subscribe to my channel if you like my wacky commentary. Thumb up this video, and you can push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today. Can access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon. Super Dacob all spelled together. This video is being filmed live in front of a virtual audience. I live stream every Saturday, and everybody's invited to join and partake the conversation. Here I have my wonderful co-chatters. Little tickle tickle to everyone. Hey, Lauren. Virtual tickle. Andrea, Lauren, Sharon. Tickle tickle. Jack, tickle. Aisha, tickle tickle. Even, let's see, a little tickle tickle for Bubbles the bot. Nichi, tickle tickle. Here you go. All right. So, this is an interesting thing, right? Because, the news broke with Chris Noth, Mr. Big. Yes, spoiler alert. We're getting into spoiler territory. This video is not spoiler free. So who has not watched episode 3 of And Just Like That, or who has not watched any episodes for that matter and doesn't want to get it spoiled, please stop now. Stop watching now and tune in after you've watched the first 3 episodes. So, spoilers. You are warned in 3, 2, 1. Spoilers begin. So, Big died in episode 1. And now by the end of episode 2 and heading towards episode 3, we have this huge situation where, unfortunately, Chris Noth has now been kind of entangled in this, in several allegations. Allegedly, 2 ladies have come forth accusing him of SA. Right, we can't say it online. So, Peloton removed their ad now with him. Peloton should just have not had any sort of anything to do with And Just Like That, but in the first episode, they did what they did. It backfired on them, and then they shot really quickly an ad with him to be like, look, Mr. Big is alive. And now they took that ad offline as well after all of these allegations started popping out. Now, how does this affect episode 3? It doesn't affect episode 3 because the episode 3 was shot months before this, all of this surfaced. So we could say forget about Chris Noth. He's out of the show anyway because he kicked the bucket in episode 1. But this will have repercussions on the show in general because then people are going to start alleging, did the showrunners know that this was going on and they still allowed him to act in the show, blah, blah. There's this whole political correctness going on in America, so you never know. You never know. And I'm sure that the showrunners are also super scared for the future of And Just Like That because having a scandal of that type happen during the run of your latest season is never a good thing. But it does make people talk, and the more people talk and the more you're kind of prone to look into the show and be like, oh my God, let me see what he did. Like, I know what he did has nothing to do with the show per se in this season because what he did was like from a decade or more ago, allegedly. But people are maybe going to want to tune in even more into the show to be like, oh my God, I really don't like him now. Let me see how he's acting. But it's so funny. I watched a couple of reviews of some random people on the internet about the first 2 episodes. And the first 2 episodes have received, generally speaking, quite a bit of hate. And some of these reviews I found really obnoxious, like to a point where, girl, like, you don't get at all what you're talking about. But I mean, hey, to each their own. But that particular scene in the first episode where Carrie kind of tells Big to masturbate for her, right? A lot of people were like, oh my God, like what? She's never seen him do that. Like, this is so gross. It's so like, he's so dirty to do that. I'm like, she asked him to, and he did it for her. Why not? I mean, she asked him to. Don't make this sound like he's this dirty old dude. And she asked him to. What the hell? They were married. I mean, I can't with people. Anyway, I gotta say, there was the silence in episode 1 and 2. Remember I said that in the first review? I said there's this silence. There's something is off. And then somebody in the chats or somebody in my comments wrote me the other day, and I was like totally like mind blown by it. I was like, oh my God, that is so true. What is different? What is different in the new show as opposed to the old show? We don't have Carrie's commentary anymore in the background. And it's so true. We just hear her at the end say, she always closes the show with a one-liner, and just like that, something. And just like that, I learned how long 5 hours were. And just like that, Big died. The third episode ends something, she goes back to her old apartment and she says like, and just like that, I found my way back home or something like that. So, but other than that, Carrie in the old show was always narrating everything off screen. And that's gone. Her voice is gone. I wonder why. Is this a premonition of things to come? Is this a premonition of things to come? I think people just saw the edited for TV repeats. No, there is no. What do you mean, Debbie? Are you talking about something else now? Because I miss Carrie's old commentary. Yeah, they don't remember or know how graphic it was. The thing is, it's so bizarre. Jam says, what do you mean she's going to be dead? Okay, so here, okay, well, first, listen, I have this really tragic theory going around, and we're going to get to it a little bit further on down the line of this video, but let's go through this episode first. Episode 3. Carrie's slowly moving on with her life. She's talking about the 3 stages of grief, which then become later on 6 stages of grief, kind of half said as a joke. But Miranda asks her, what's the 3rd stage of grief? And she says, the reading of the will. So the whole episode is centered around Natasha. Natasha is back. Big left Natasha $1 million for her charity. So Carrie is shocked because, as we know from the old seasons, Big was married to Natasha, then left her for Carrie again. So Natasha hates Carrie, Carrie hates Natasha. Big is kind of in between both of them. And now all of a sudden he's dead and Carrie doesn't even know what. She didn't know that he was in contact with Natasha. And now all of a sudden he's leaving her $1 million to her charity. Charlotte says, don't worry, it's not that bad. After taxes, it's only $450,000. That was like a really lame joke. So there's Carrie dealing with this, and now she tries to find out where Natasha is. She wants to talk to Natasha, but Natasha blocks her on Instagram after Carrie tries to contact her on Instagram. So Carrie's now obsessed. Why is Natasha avoiding her so much? Is there some secret? Did Big have an affair with Natasha while he was married to Carrie all these years? This is what we're trying to find out in this episode. In the meanwhile, Charlotte's struggle in this episode is with one of her kids. One of her kids, we've already had very... I mean, I don't know. This show, sometimes the writing, it's like it's made for amoebas. Like if you don't have one single brain cell in your body, in your brain cell in your body, well, there you go. I just proven that I don't have one. You would need those sorts of explanations, but I'm like, we get the hint, Mr. Patrick King. We get the hint that one of her daughters is probably transgender. We get the hint. We get it. But no, he has to kind of explain it. Because apparently, all of us understood it. But Charlotte, the mother, had no clue. Until finally, her child tells her, Mom, don't call me a girl. I don't feel like a girl. And then Charlotte says, oh, sometimes I don't feel like a girl either. She's like, no, I never feel like a girl. And so we have this kind of teenager discovering, well, already knowing, apparently, what they feel like. But the mother going on a journey, trying to understand how that works. So she talks to Anthony, and Anthony tells her, whatever. She believed that she was a turtle or something in the past, or dog or something. She's a kid. She's just growing up. Let her just experiment with things. But then Charlotte ends up going to Che's stand-up comedy act, and Che is gender fluid. And the whole stand-up show was about acceptance and gender and non-conforming, and of course Charlotte is moved by the speech and she cries in the audience, and after the show is over she calls her child and says, I just want to say I love you, that's all. And well, there you go. That's Charlotte's arc or arch in this episode. Cute. But here we go again with this woke We got to put all the woke topics in one episode. So we got the gender fluidity. We got, again, on stage, the gender fluidity. We kind of abandoned the black community again in episode 3 because Miranda's journey, with her teacher in high school, no, university, is it university or high school? No, she's doing some postgraduate thing anyway, because Charlotte's already a lawyer, so she's doing this just because she doesn't want to be a Karen anymore. We don't see any of that anymore. We don't see Charlotte's friend, who's also a person of color. They're not in this episode. In this episode, we do see Stanley for the last time, because after episode 3, Kristen Davis said that he passed away. So I do not know how in episode 4 they're going to resolve him missing. Maybe they still had some footage of him that they're going to put in episode 4. But how they're going to deal with the situation from episode 4 with Willie, I do not know. But he was still in episode 3, and he was kind of bitchy again. He had a fight with Charlotte. He said, "You never accepted me in the inner circle." It was kind of really sad, because if this is the way he goes, if this is the last episode he shot, he left on a bitter note. He has been kind of really moody and bitter. His character, not Willie, his character has been kind of moody and bitter throughout. He was not nice throughout these. He was only nice when he was tiptoeing through Carrie's house trying to hide from Charlotte in episode 2, when she came uninvited and Carrie didn't want her to know that Miranda and Stanley were... Stanley's his name? I'm forgetting the names as well. My brain fart. When she didn't want Charlotte to be offended that she wasn't invited, right? That was kind of funny when he tried to sneak around. That was kind of the cute moment. But other than that, he's kind of been really mean. And he was kind of, bickering with Charlotte at the restaurant where they were supposed to eat with Carrie. Charlotte ordered a table for 3. He was the 4th person. She said, "There's no space for you." He's like, "Of course there is." So he sat with them, but they sat at a bad table. So the door of the kitchen kept opening up and hitting him. And that was kind of like super sad. It was like almost like this door was like, "Get out of here, get out of here." And he was out of there. Episode 4, he's no longer there. So it's a weird premonition of things to come. Of course, Carrie finally gets to meet Natasha. She tries over and over and over again. She even goes to her job. She finds out where she works. She knows where she lives. At work, when she comes to Natasha's work, Natasha's assistant says, Natasha is not here. Natasha is in Rome. Interesting coincidence that Kim Cattrall was in Rome right about the same time. So nobody mentions Samantha in this episode. It's like, episode 1 and 2, we dealt with the loss of Big. We dealt with the loss of Samantha. Episode 3, we're moving on to other shores. So Carrie finally, by accident, manages to meet Natasha in a cafe bar where she wanted to go to the loo, bought a coffee to be able to go to the loo, and then Natasha was in the loo. What were the chances, right? She spills her coffee all over her. She burns herself. We feel sorry for Carrie. Natasha exits the bathroom and says, "Why are you following me? You're crazy." And then she realizes, oh, she's burned. She feels sorry for her. She gives her ice, blah, 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 blah. And she clarifies to Carrie, "Hey, Big never contacted me since our divorce. He did not have an affair with me." Basically, in between the lines, what we read is, don't worry. He did not cheat behind your back, because that's all you wanted to know. I'm telling you now, he did not cheat behind your back. We're good. Just please, maybe we should not be friends on Instagram. Carrie says, "I completely agree. We should not be friends on Instagram." Natasha leaves. Carrie is alone in the bar with her burned hand. We still feel sorry for her. Miranda, Charlotte, and Carrie go to the comedy act, the stand-up comedy act of Shay. And they have VIP bracelets. They can access any part of the show. However, Carrie said, "I'm just here to thank Shay because Shay came to the funeral, Big's funeral. So I'm here with you guys to say thank you." But of course, Miranda is intrigued. As we've seen in episode 2 at the funeral, Miranda already was kind of flirty with Shay. And now it's going to the next level. Miranda kind of lies to Carrie and Charlotte that she's going to go home too right after the event. But Carrie and Charlotte jump into a car and leave. And Miranda's like, yeah, I'll catch the next car. But then she kind of turns around, goes back into the bar. And we have this moment where, she meets Shay, and then Shay kind of realizes that Miranda is intrigued, sexually aroused by them. And Shay says, "Hey, want to smoke a doobie?" And Miranda's like, oh my God, no, 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 no. I'm prim and proper, prim and proper. And then Che says, well, can I kind of like blow it into you? No pun intended. Miranda says, yeah, sure. And then we have this like beautiful moment of a kind of that still motion camera filming them kind of almost like 360 degrees, but not really, not quite, maybe 180 degrees, turning around them as they're kind of still in time. And I disagree with some other reviewer I saw online that said that Cynthia Nixon is like forgot how to act, like she's a really bad actor in these 3 episodes. I beg to differ in such a way. I think Cynthia Nixon is amazing. She makes me laugh so much. I think she is a perfect comedic actor. You have to understand how she works to appreciate her. She's not a dramatic actor. She's a comedic actor. And and she's what makes the show light right now. Even those dark times, she brings in comedy. So if people are expecting her to be the dramatic actor, then you're going to think she's not acting right. But she's acting this part. Even as sad as this part is, and as complicated as it is, she gives it nuance with comedy timing. And boy, does she deliver. And so that one time when she's not comedic is the moment when Che kind of does the smoke thing from mouth to mouth. I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was kind of an epiphany moment. I did not find it cringe at all. Call me Mr. Cringe, end of the year cringe, type of nostalgia, end of the year blues. Maybe it's my end of the year blues that make me say, oh, emotional moment. But I felt it was a beautiful moment. I really did. I really did. What can I tell you? I really did. I thought it was a good moment. What can I tell you? I don't know. Of course, Miranda in that same episode, while she is with Charlotte at a Starbucks waiting for Carrie to try to meet Natasha, towards the beginning of the episode, they're waiting for Carrie in this Starbucks bar. Miranda tells Charlotte, that she's starting to doubt her relationship with Steve after so many years, and she doesn't even like to touch him really anymore because, well, maybe she's just attracted to women instead of men. There's this whole questioning her sexual identity, another woke moment, right? They got to push them on us. It's like they're paying for all of the lack of all of that wokeness in the past seasons. Like they got to do it all now. It's well, whatever. But anyway, so Miranda goes to pick up a muffin. Charlotte needs a cable for her phone. Miranda says, here, look in my backpack. The cable is in there. You can charge your phone with my cable. And of course, Charlotte. Now, by episode 3, Charlotte finds little empty alcohol bottles in Miranda's backpack. And Charlotte starts thinking, oh, maybe Miranda has a drinking problem. Of course, the authors of the show, because they thought we're imbeciles, told us in 50 billion different ways in the first 2 episodes, hey, hint, 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 hint. They were screaming at a hint, hint, Miranda has a drinking problem. We're like, yeah, we get it. You didn't have to repeat it 50,000 times. Now Charlotte gets it too. Took her a while. And she, while she's driving home with Carrie after Che's stand-up comedy action. Thank you, WMDI Inc.
WMDI_Inc. donated $5. What's up with your admins? I feel attacked. All I want to do is troll and support and have clean fun.
What happened? Message deleted. I don't know what was the message. Hold on, let me see. Okay, but interrupting me in the middle of the conversation is also not cool, but thanks for the tip. But yeah, I read it, but I don't know what was... You want to troll, so all you want to do is troll. Who do you want to troll? Me? Girl, that's kind of... No trolls, thank you. If you want to troll, this ain't the place. All right, now, interrupting me is actually quite rude. Just saying, And if you're really going to interrupt me, girl, you could add a couple of zeros after that 5. You know what I mean? Make it worth your while. Now, going back to the conversation, where were we? Charlotte? Right. Miranda and... Charlotte and Carrie are in the car after Che's stand-up comedy act, and they're moving away. And Charlotte is finally alone with Carrie. And she says, Carrie, I think Miranda has a drinking problem. And Carrie says, what do you know? She doesn't. She's like, well, I found little tiny miniature bottles in her backpack. Carrie tries to throw a joke and say, maybe she had a miniature party, you know. And she said, no. And then she drank 2 wines here and there. Like, Charlotte is now starting to count every time Miranda takes a drink publicly. And she's adding up everything. So now that the girls are aware of this, there's probably going to be some sort of confrontation in episode 4. I'm sure Charlotte, by episode 4, is going to kind of try to talk to Miranda about this. The way I see Miranda, she's probably going to fight back and say, like, how dare you judge me? What are you talking about? You know, she's going to be in denial, probably. I don't think that there's going to be this revelatory moment where Miranda cries her heart out on Charlotte's shoulder and says, yes, you're so right. I have a problem with alcohol. I'm sure Miranda's first going to be on the defense. It's going to take her some time to assimilate it and then to process. And then she's going to come back and say, okay, I'm going to work. I'm sure that this issue will be resolved. It's just another arch for this show, right? But as if we don't have enough tragedy and sadness, you know what I mean? Big dying. They're sad that they're aging, which not really. I don't know if they're sad. It's like most of the fans are sad that they're aging. I think it's fabulous that they're aging. Some people have been criticizing the fact that Carrie is still trying to wear high heels, pumps, and this and that. And they're, like, no, she should be her age. I'm like, let the woman wear what she wants to wear. I think it's fabulous that she's still feeling her oats in that way. I mean, as long as her feet don't hurt her and she can, like, bear to walk in those heels through half of Manhattan, let her do it. I mean, honestly, I don't think maybe the showrunners think we're so dumb that we're going to try to do the same. No, listen, I've been walking up and down Fifth Avenue. Even in sneakers, like if you're going to walk all the way north to south Manhattan, you're going to die. It's going to hurt. You're going to get blisters. Like nobody sane in their mind would walk through 10 blocks, 20 blocks in high heels. It's fantasy. It's fantasy. Let her live her fantasy and let us live that fantasy through her. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a reason to criticize the show. However, Carrie says at the beginning of the show to Miranda, I can't sleep, I can't eat, I'm missing Big, it's also difficult. But she slowly starts eating. She starts looking for clues like, did Big cheat on her? She goes through all Big's pockets. She finds a photo of a dog called Gogi or something, and she's like, I never knew he had this dog. What is this dog from the 80s? So like she's kind of piecing she's trying to access Big's computer. She doesn't know the password. So I'm thinking this is a premonition of things to come because she can't hack into his computer. Maybe in some future episode she will hack into his computer and something in that computer is going to trigger some issues. Also, maybe she's going to find out more stuff about that dog. She's probably going to talk to Big's brother. She's going to meet Big's brother again and ask him about the dog. Maybe something else is going to happen. And then Gloria, there has been speculation. People have been saying that possibly Gloria, who is Big's secretary, could have been Big's mother in reality. And that might come out in the future. I mean, I don't see that happening because she's not that much younger, younger. I thought she was younger than Big, but apparently she's older than Big. I don't know if Gloria is that much older than Big to be his mother, because Big was also not in his 30s by the end of the show. Big is like, what, in his 60s? Unless Gloria is not in her like late 70s. She doesn't look like she's in her late 70s. I do not see how biologically she could be his mother, but there's been speculation that she's his mother. That's going to come out. But then again, also people thought that Gloria was going to inherit all the money. That's not the case. Gloria just was there to let Miranda know, to let Carrie know that Natasha got $1 million for her charity. Natasha said, I don't want the money. Carrie said, take the money. This is Big's way of saying he's sorry. He was not a big talker, not a big speaker. He was a business guy. He lets the money do the talking. I was like, oh boy, how poetic. But kind of true also. So he wasn't a big talker. It was his way to say he's sorry. There's this sadness running throughout the show that I'm really connecting to. And mind you, not in the way of feeling like the girls want our pity and the show wants to win us over through pity. I don't think that's the case. I think there's this awareness of death and end, finality in the show, which I find very real. And that silence, that lack of Carrie's commentary is kind of very telling to me. Now we're going to get to... So Carrie gets driven back home after Che's stand-up act. Charlotte is still in the car. Charlotte drives away with the driver. Carrie's in front of her apartment building. And the gentleman at the door says, "Oh, hello, Mrs. Preston, would you like to come in?" She's like, "You know what? No, I'm going to have a walk." And she walks all the way back to her old New York apartment that we know her from the old series. And then she says something, you guys help me in the chat. She says something like, "And just like that, I made it back home." Or, "And just like that, I found my way back home." Something like that. And that's how the episode ends. That was the only off-screen commentary. Oh, "And just like that, I walked myself back home." Man, that hit the spot for me. It made me so sad. And you know, I walked myself home. It really made me sad, especially because, and here, you guys, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this, you guys? Because what I'm about to drop now is kind of like the spoiler of the spoiler of the spoiler. Yeah, Jack, at the end we go back to the beginning. London Chatty says, "Didn't Aiden buy that flat?" No, I think Big gave her the money that she needed to completely purchase the flat. Maybe Aiden bought it off of her at a certain point. Maybe she sold it to Aiden? Yeah. She bought it back, says Holy Grace. So she bought the apartment back from Aiden. Okay. You guys, are you ready for this? This is going to break your heart. Yeah, Jam says, "Oh no." This is sad. And if this is true, I'm going to be heartbroken. Heartbroken. Oh, God. There's rumors. Spoiler alert. This is alleged because we don't know for sure, but that there's something more going on here. Why the silence? Why is there lack of commentary? Some people have started to kind of analyze, word for word, the acting and the writing. And in episode 1, a kind of very telling clue that foreshadows what's going to come is when Miranda and Carrie are in Carrie's kitchen. Miranda slept over at Carrie's so that Carrie's not alone after Big passed away. And the next morning, Carrie's looking at funeral homes on the computer. She's on the table in the kitchen. And Miranda comes. She just woke up. And she says, "Do you want a coffee?" And Carrie's like, "Yeah, sure, Like, "Where's the coffee?" Like, "Oh, it's in the freezer." And Miranda's like, "In the freezer?" Okay, so she looks through it, look. Carrie says, "No, go to school. Don't stay with me. Charlotte is going to come. I'll be fine. I'll be fine." And then Miranda says something. Miranda says, so she reminds her about like, "So do you want one?" And Carrie's like, "Do I want what?" And Miranda freezes for a second. And we have this thing again. She freezes for a second longer than she should have frozen, which indicates to us something is important going on here. And she reminds her, says, "Coffee. Do you want coffee?" And Carrie's like, "Oh, yeah." Oh, man, I get goosebumps just thinking about this. Is so sad if this is true. Because, of course, what did Miranda have to deal with in the main show? Steve's mom, who had dementia, were senile, or had Alzheimer's. Now there's a speculation that Carrie has Alzheimer's or dementia or kicking in. And they're dropping in these little hints that this might be her journey. And I mean, if that's true, I'm just gonna jump off the bridge right now, because honestly, I can't handle. I cannot handle. I really can't. I can't. I cannot handle. If this is true, this is terrible. Like, why? Why even make the show? Kill off everybody? Half the people don't want to come back to the show and then care. No, please let this not be true. But there are quite a few voices out there that say that this is happening. So with that in mind, I rewatched the episodes. heartbreaking. Like, her voice is missing. You don't hear her talk off screen anymore. Like when she's sitting after, Natasha's in the bathroom scene and she kind of opens the door and gets shocked that Natasha's in the bathroom and spills the coffee all over her. And she's like sitting all alone at that table with her burned hands, looking so confused. Oh my God, it broke my heart. It broke my heart. Debbie says it's just a rumor she was grieving. Jack says, a Shakespearean tragedy. Sobe says, I agree, Jack. It better not be true. Why would they do that, says Jam. I know, right? Alina says, dementia needs awareness. I don't need Carrie in a show that literally is all about sadness at this point. It's like, no, I get it. Everything. But this is the point, Alina. This is exactly the point. Everything needs awareness. Everything. Every freaking problem, disease, issue, misconduct, illegality in this world needs freaking awareness. Yes. But does it all have to be in one show? You know what I mean? Like, does it, is all this show is going to become, is this like almost like a Jesus figure carrying that cross for everybody else? Like, okay, flagellation and like, oh my God, how dare we have done the shows we did in the past? Now we're going to have to like pay for all our sins, and now we're going to like everything on us. No, there can be, there's a time and a place for everything. Great to raise awareness about any issue out there, but I really truly believe it don't have to be every frickin' issue dealt with in just one show. And mind you guys, we're 3 episodes in. We're not even like at the end of the run. We're 3 episodes in and we already have so much baggage to deal with that I think even the writers were a little bit overwhelmed. And that's why to a lot of people, it's a bit too much. That's why a lot of people, I think, ultimately are criticizing the show, because they're like, oh my God, I haven't been with these girls for 11 years. And here we are, they're returning on screen and it's a shit show. Like in terms of problem. Like there's no happiness. Now, of course, there is also happiness because Charlotte loves her kid and is accepting of her kid, and we're going on that beautiful journey of transformation. That is a positive note. Che said that Che had a wonderful family. They accepted them, completely embraced them. And that, so there is also positivity there. But that's a very small percentage of positivity as opposed to everything else. Now, other people have criticized the fact that this post-lockdown New York world is like kind of rubbing it off too quickly. Like, oh, there's no repercussions. We're out of the lockdown situation and now we're living our life again as if nothing ever happened. So some people think like, no, you should have raised awareness about how New York really is after the lockdown. I'm like, well, the lockdown isn't over yet. So you don't, by lockdown, I mean the thing that shall remain unnamed. So nobody really knows how it's going to look after. So for those people coming for the show saying like, this is not how New York looks now. I'm like, yeah, but they're not depicting New York of today. They're maybe depicting a New York 2 years from now, if hopefully the virus is going to be, relatively gone by then. Like, it doesn't mean that they are depicting a New York of today. But could you imagine if on top of all of this tragedy, they had to wear the masks on top of it and get sick with that thing on top of it? Like, that would have been like really like, okay, nobody would have watched the show. Blondin Chatty says, if they have done that to the character, it's so they can include flashbacks and Big's ghost as Carrie's memories become confused about her chronology. Maybe, but then we also heard rumors that Chris Noth did not want to be in the show. He just wanted to be written out, and apparently, that was it. So they wrote him out. Now, after the scandal that he's having, probably nobody wants him back. So there's that as well. And furthermore, I think, at the end of the day, it's like, what's left, Oh, Alina says, look, we don't want to see rich people unhappy because, let's face it, that bursts the bubble. But we are happy to see poor people miserable. I wonder why. That's a little bit too generic. I don't put myself in that. So it's not we. So that already has to be reformulated into some people, because I'm not like that. So Jack says, listen, we can talk in the shadows of the world. I say, let it be problem after problem. Let it be depressing, if only to make us think. If they can achieve that. Oh, for sure. For sure. But then again, this is what I'm saying. This show has also been planned out, as from what they've told us thus far. They don't want to end it with the season. They want this to be the first season of something new. They want to do a season 2 and a season 3. So I'm like, okay, so you got time. If you're going to do a season 2 and possibly a season 3, then you got time. You can touch base on all of these things in due time. You don't have to barf them all out on us in the first 3 episodes, because you're going to scare people off. You are going to scare people off. And this is like one of those like very popular shows. So, you know what I mean? It's a fantasy, says Debbie. I'm not taking this show seriously. Blonde and Chatty says, that would explain why they retitled it to distance it from the original. Yeah, right. 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 Will they mention Samantha again? There have been rumors that, they want to make this show about Carrie trying to apologize to Samantha and become friends again. Will that work out at the end? I do not know. All I'm seeing is, I have the feeling that Kim Cattrall is doubling down on posting on Instagram, being present on social media more than ever now, to kind of like prove that she also has a life outside of Sex and the City, and that she's like fabulously happy. It almost feels like she's forcing it to look even more. I feel like she misses it. Maybe she really hates Sarah Jessica Parker's guts. Okay, more power to her. Let her hate her. But don't hate Samantha. Kim. Yes, you're a wonderful actress. You've had wonderful roles in your life. But Samantha, you can try and act as much as you want in as many parts with as many art directors and high-class directors, film directors out there and writers. You can do it all. But girl, I'm going to tell you right here and right now, you're going to go down in history as Samantha Jones, not as any other character you've portrayed in other movies. People are going to know you've been in theater, and they're going to know you've been in the movies and on television, and they're going to love you and respect you for all the parts you did. But your claim to fame, ultimately, and the memory, you will go down in history, in the memory, in social consciousness, as Samantha Jones. So I say, yeah, hate Sarah Jessica Parker for whatever reason you want. Hate everybody there for whatever reason you want. But don't shit on your legacy. Samantha Jones is your legacy. Don't let Samantha Jones down. Honestly, I would have jumped and stepped over my shadows and my ego, and I would have said, you know what? I owe this to Sam. I'm going to do this part. I'm going to act in this show. And all of y'all's bitches can lick my boots. I don't care. I'm going to, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm just going to leave the set after I'm done filming. But God damn it, I owe it to Samantha. Because Samantha, quite frankly, deserves better. She does. She does. She does. And what is, Aisha says, there was a story when Kim Cattrall's brother died and Sarah Jessica Parker sent condolences and Kim was annoyed on Twitter. Yeah, there was that. Maybe that's why they did the flowers at the funeral thing. Maybe. Possibly connected, but then again, blending reality too much with fiction. Again, I can see how that could have irritated Kim. Alina says, this is like the Gilmore Girls reboot. People ask for a reboot and then complain about it. People need to have low expectations and then just maybe they might enjoy it. I think the girls wanted a reboot too. I think they were ready for I think they really worked hard to get this thing happening. It wasn't just the fans. I think Sarah Jessica Parker, most importantly, because she wasn't having success in anything else. And everything else she acted after Sex and the City, she was Carrie Bradshaw. I mean, let's be honest about this. She never got another role after. That wasn't just like Carrie Bradshaw. So she knows that her power is in Carrie Bradshaw and that she can be an executive producer there, that she can have full control and power there. So I get that she wants to go back to that. I completely understand. Cardmaster says the girls are fighting. 3 words. The Golden Palace, says Donnie Barris. I mean, I loved the Golden Palace, but yeah, it does kind of feel like that. Dorothy decided to leave the Golden Girls, and then the Golden Girls moved to the Golden Palace. It did just 1 season, and it failed. But Dorothy did come to visit, Dorothy did come to visit in a couple of episodes in the Golden Palace. The Golden Palace is like kind of the eighth season of the Golden Girls, except it's not the Golden Girls anymore. Leslie says, I hope they work on some of the positive, like Lily's amazing piano abilities. Let's focus on the positive here. Let's focus on the gifts that we can give to the young people. Fran says, I like how Carrie was dressed as Dorothy in episode 3 and then ended up home. Ooh, France, that's a good one. Oh my gosh, you think that was on purpose? But she wasn't dressed as Dorothy in the last scene. She was dressed as Dorothy while she was walking through Manhattan looking lost through Manhattan. Again, another foreshadowing moment. Why was she, But no, she was on the phone still and knew where she was walking. But that's a good one. Yeah, if she is really, yeah, that's you. Good that you caught that. Good that you caught that. That could be the reason, right? Jack Dean says Hocus Pocus 2 is coming out. Yes, but Hocus Pocus is all about Bette Midler. I mean, let's not be fooled. Rara says the Samantha character shook up the neurosis of the other characters. And bringing me to the point here, by episode 3, I gotta say, I don't miss Samantha. I love her, but the way that they're writing all of this, it's not like I'm thinking the whole episode through, oh man, where's Samantha? Oh man, where's Samantha? No, I think these ladies are wonderful actresses and they hold the show on their own as well. They really do. They hold their own ground. It works even without her. It's different. It is different, but it works. I mean, for me at least, it works. Kim Cattrall doesn't owe Samantha Jones anything. Sam character ended fabulously, says VAIVA. Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But if I don't know. But if they're saying, hey, we're continuing it. There's budget for it. There's a plot line. There's a story for it. And then you go like, no, I'm done. In that case, I think you owe it. I think you do. Especially if you have the freedom to choose in which direction the arch is going to go. Jack says, and I do think the writers have understood that Samantha was the comic relief. Without her, it is depressing. That's just the state of the show. Holy Grace says, it's just like that. It's not Sex and the City. Sam doesn't have a place, perhaps, in this new series. Yeah, I feel like it's okay without her. I'm not like, I'm not one of those people that's going to say, I'm not going to watch the show because Samantha's not in it. No, I'm going to watch it. And I'm really looking forward to episode 4. I'm enjoying spending time with these characters. They are very endearing and they're very fragile in a very special way that makes me feel like I'm at home. So I can just speak for myself. For me, it works. I'm happy that the show is back. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh my God, I don't want this show to be back. You. No, I'm happy it's back, and I'm happy to watch it every week, and it gives me sadness, but it also gives me some sort of joy. Yeah, and Michael Patrick King, who wrote the show, he said in an interview, he wrote this show only for 3 girls. He never had 4 girls in mind. This show was never written with 4 leads in mind. It was written for the 3 girls. So this show is structured around them 3. Carrie Bradshaw in the house says, I would say let's follow the yellow brick road. Will I end up in a field of poppy flowers? And you couldn't help but wonder, would you end up in a field of poppy flowers? Holy Grace says, I'm just on the edge about all these woke boxes they are desperately trying to tick. It's like a big slap in the face with everything at once. Aisha says, Alina, they have... okay, talking about body split. Did you hear about Chris Nutt? Yes, and we spoke about that at the beginning of this video. And that concludes this video. Rewind to the beginning, start all over again to watch it all over again. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thumb up this video if you've liked it. And I hope to see you all next week for the next review of episode 4 of And Just Like That, Sex and the City. And just like that. And just like that, another review was over. Never forget to never give up on love. Bye.